Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today going to be doing another lore entry. I should have just posted my overview of the patch 2.2 lore, just a quick retelling of what happened for those of you who may not have had the ability to really watch the cutscenes or really follow it that in-depthly. Just a quick overview. Apologies if you can hear my family. My nephew has been crying all morning. He's been doing it for the past 2 days. It's been making recording kind of hard. So I'm just going to power through that right now because I've had to redo this recording like 8 times trying to get him crying out of it. So regardless, we're going to power through. That's off topic. So let's talk about lore. Now, one thing I really want to talk about, and I was going to do just a video analyzing each different aspect of patch 2.2, a single video of the lore, and I've decided not to do that. I'm going to break it up into multiple videos because there's a lot, there's a lot of different things to tell here. And one big thing that I caught wind of that really got skipped over, something that was definitely there to let us know something was happening, but it really got skipped over, was Garlemald and the current state of Garlemald. For those of you who don't know, Garlemald is the name of the city where the Empire is actually situated. Basically, the entire continent to the north is now considered Garlemald. I don't know what the actual name of the continent is, but when everyone refers to the north, that's where Garlemald is, even on the map. So I want to give a little bit of a history lesson in this video about Garlemald itself and how they even became what they are now. And really the point of this is to give you a history on Salas Zosgalvis, who is the emperor of the empire as far as we know, the Garlean Empire. And one quote from him, and this is according to the official threats part of the Final Fantasy XIV website: "No lands must remain beyond our grasp. Go forth, conquer, rule." That's the kind of leader we're dealing with here. But while he's always had this mentality, he wasn't always in a seat of power. Now, Garlemald itself was not always this big power. This is actually more in recent history that Garlemald became this massive power that they are right now, and this threat they are to the rest of the world who wish to live their free lives. Garlemald was once a republic, no more than probably 60 to 65 years ago. Garlemald was actually a republic, and it was a rather small city-state at that on the northern continent. But eventually, Salas Zosgalvis was born. He was in a distinguished lineage, so he was basically important by nature of his birth. Just because he was born into an important family, he was automatically a big deal. Now, on top of that, he became somewhat of a military prodigy. He joined the military at a very young age, and he just immediately was just completely and utterly undestroyable. He could just win any battle that he went to. And because of those victories that he started getting, he actually became a legatus at a very young age. Nail Van Darnus was a legatus as well, and he really propelled himself upwards in the ranks after he became a legatus. And on top of that, when he became a legatus, he actually started introducing Machina, which is, the machines that they use to fight us. The Magitech. They use the Magitech Vanguards and the Magitech Reavers and Reapers and things like that. He's actually the one responsible for most of that military prowess. And with that all, he's a legatus. He's basically making the army one of the most formidable military powers in the entire world. This eventually made the citizens, they just loved him. I don't know how this eventually led to this, but because of how much the citizens backed him, he eventually became a dictator. He moved right up from legatus to dictator. It didn't take that long in his life to become this dictator and this emperor over the entire empire. And once he was in that seat of power, that quote that we just told before, "Go forth, conquer, rule," that was all he did. He went and he took over everything. He took over the entire North Continent, and he started taking over the East Continent, and of course also working on Eorzea, as the story would suggest in patch 2.0. So the only thing that's really stopping him at this point is primals. Now, we think that Eorzea might be the only place that has primals, and there's a little bit more to back that, but he really doesn't want to deal with. I believe Alamigo was the first place he ever saw a primal east of us. The continent of Authar didn't seem to actually have any of these primals, at least not that Lady Yagiri knew about. She was shocked to learn of the presence of something like Leviathan, of a primal, a being of that magnitude of power. She was so unfamiliar with it. So, regardless of all that, he united everything into a single entity, and he started coming in Eorzea. He first ran into the primals, and if you ever run into a primal, the rule is you got to destroy it. In Garlemald, if you find out there's a primal, it becomes a military priority to annihilate them. So on top of that, he's just been ruling Garlemald for must be 50 to 55 years by now. If he did all of this at such a young age, he has to have been ruling it for at least 50 years, I'll say. At least 50 years. That seems more reasonable. And he's now over 80 years old. He's really, really old. And he's actually, last we heard in 2.0, he's actually begun to grow ill. And there's been a lot of talk about who's going to succeed him, who's going to rule the Garlean Empire, who's going to do all that. And we don't know any of that. All we know is Gaius was trying to earn his favor by conquering Eorzea. And, well, failed, because we're still going right now. So it's interesting because in patch 2.2, there was just a tiny tidbit of information about the state of Garlemald after we pushed back Gaius Van Belsar. And all we heard is that there's a war of succession right now within the Garlean ranks. That would lead us to believe, and it leads Alphinaud to believe, that the Emperor may have actually died. I don't think that's the case. I think this war of succession is actually just a way of drawing out those who would oppose the Empire, especially in the places where they already rule. And that is kind of shown by when Lady Ugiri suspects that because there is this war of succession going, or that they've heard of this war of succession, that they'll have the opportunity to rebel and win back Doma. But then they just get completely destroyed. That either means that somebody succeeded him in that time, or that he was never dead to begin with, and it was just to draw out those who would rebel against the Empire. It's hard to tell which one it is, but one thing's for certain, I don't think they would have introduced this character to us, having never let us meet him, but consider him a threat to Eorzea. He's still listed as a threat to Eorzea. So him being dead is almost unlikely to me. I feel like something has to have happened with him that eventually led to these events to be taking place. But his death, I don't know. I'm not buying it. Garlemald has been ruled under him for a very long time. I have a feeling that in this world of magic and all the things that people are capable of, thaumaturgy, that he will find a way to continue to live and continue to rule the Empire. There's a high probability that he looks at the Empire as his own personal plaything, and that he feels that without him, the Empire has nothing. Without their Emperor, there is no Empire. So, and that kind of goes a little bit further. He never named a successor. You'd think that such an important figure who wants their empire to continue to rule long after their line has gone, it never mentions him having a son or any sons or any children or even a wife. Never mentions that anywhere. And if there's a war of succession, you have to believe it's either his sons fighting for it, or that it's all the legatuses. Like Gaius was also trying to, take over the empire. He wanted to earn the favor and become the successor. And if there's a war, it means he never picked somebody and died suddenly, or he's not actually dead. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the story with him evolves. But that little history lesson in Garlemald, what do you guys think? Do you think that Solus Zos Galvis, there's so many S's, is actually dead? Do you think that this was just a ploy to get rebels to come out of hiding and then set an example like in Doma? Do you think that he did die and maybe he's already been succeeded, or maybe there is still a war of succession going on and that's going to play a much deeper role, something that the Ascians might even become involved in at some point? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more videos. Definitely going to be posting a lot more lore videos in the coming weeks. Also, be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. You can let me know your thoughts there as well, but I highly, highly recommend that you don't just send me a personal message for these kind of things, that you post in the comments below, or that you actually post on my Facebook wall. Invoke some conversation. I really like it when people converse about these kinds of speculation. Speculation is really my forte. But anyway, guys, also follow me on Twitch. I do live stream occasionally. It's going to be a bit of a busy week for me this week, but I'll see what I can do. I really don't want to not stream for an entire week because, well, I like entertaining you guys. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.